Yeah, obviously disappointed the way we played against a very good JMU team this week. That starts with me as the head coach. It's my responsibility to get our team ready to play, and I didn't do a good job in that role. A lot of credit goes to JMU; they're a good team. They were impressive on tape, but now as our season continues, we got a big game against Marshall at home. Good to get back at home. We got a lot to play for. It's a big game for us, and we're really excited about the competition and getting started with the week prep today.
We'll open up now for questions. Again, for our media, please use the raise hand function. We'll call on you to ask those questions. Started off with Adam Miller.
Coach, I know you guys obviously want to put it in your rear view, but what? Just talking about James Madison in the game you guys played, what do you feel was maybe something that was um, unexpected to you guys in that contest, and something that maybe that caught you by surprise just with the ability of their team?
Yeah, Adam. I don't know if anything caught us by surprise. Very little in football are you caught by surprise. There's so much video and so much access to people and opponents. I think we talked about being opportunistic in the game, and he goes, you start the first play of the game and on offense, and we have a chance to make a big play, and we don't come down with the ball. And defense, I thought did a nice job for the first three to five series of the game. They were trying to throw RPOs and miss some throws, and if they catch them, they're big plays, and that's great. But they didn't, and I thought our defense was doing a good job. And as we finally started to move the ball a little bit, there it was we threw an interception on a perimeter blocking play where our receivers just need to be better. That wasn't on the quarterback; that was on our group of wide receivers. We got to be better. And then at that point, like you got to respond the right way. And I wasn't happy. I didn't think I blame myself as we didn't respond the way we needed to respond versus a really good team on the road. And what happens when you play these good teams, like you feel pressure all the time to make plays. And at some point, I thought in the second half, really, and late in the first half, we started trying to do too much. And instead of just do your job one play at a time, you started feeling like guys trying to jump gaps, do stuff that they weren't coached to do, and ultimately, that's on me, and I got to do a better job with our team.
Let's go over to Billy.
Hey, Coach. You kind of mentioned looking forward, you guys still can get to bowl eligibility. Talk a little bit about, how you reset after, a game like that, but you still have a lot of goals that you can still achieve.
Yeah, and I think that's you get to choose, Billy, how you look at this. And it was a really disappointing loss in a hard way, but there is a lot of good that can come from this season. And you can't talk about a bowl game until you win this game. And we got a really skilled opponent that has done a good job in a short amount of time building a roster. He had to inherit an empty roster, and Tony has done a good job with that. It's a competitive team. They're good. Got to dive into their tape today. And the good thing for us is we get to play at home. And now the challenge for us is when you get beat the way we got beat, and it was unacceptable, just from a score standpoint. Like at the end of the day, like a loss is a loss, but that one stings a little bit more than other losses, just for the style of how it happened. Now we got to get a group that's resilient and starts looking forward and understanding what it takes to win this game and putting that behind you. And they're going to be, you're dealing with 18 to 20-year-old, 22-year-old kids that are going to be on social media, that are going to get, bad things said about them. I've had a couple guys in there already talking about like what people have said to them in their DMs and those things. But it's an unbelievable opportunity. Every time you get to play this game, it's an unbelievable opportunity. And we have an awesome brand that we need to represent the right way. And we have a bad taste in our mouth. And it's our job as coaches to make sure that we come out and play with the intensity that we need this week after losing in a disappointing way.
Let's take one final question from Billy.
Yeah, Coach, just kind of following up with that. Obviously it's the one game at a time mentality, but you do get to finish out both of your games at home. Just talk a little bit about what that means to, give this group two more chances to play in front of a home crowd.
Yeah, it's you want to send your seniors out the right way. And what better way is to win this game right here at home? And it also there's recruiting implications because now we have recruits that can be on campus, which is really, really important. Because when you're not playing the way that you want to play, then and you got to recruit even harder. And it becomes more of a challenge. You got to sell people on the vision of what's coming. And the best way to do it is to go out and play well this week with the current group of players we have that we do care deeply about, and we're so blessed and fortunate to be that they're here. And it's, as the first time head coach, you start to look at it and you're like, with these seniors, I've got two more games with these guys, and it starts to like sink in of like two more guys, two more games to coach this group of people. And what, for me, like there's always this sense of loyalty, because in a transfer portal world, a lot of these guys that their eligibility had 1 year left could have left and they stayed. And I think it talks about their character, about their pride in their school. And we need to make sure that we play really hard the right way this week against Marshall, because it's a very skilled opponent that's going to be an awesome challenge.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate your time today.
Appreciate you, Sam. Y'all have a good one.
Yeah, disappointing loss. I'm really proud of our football team. They played hard all the way through the game, and credit goes to Georgia Southern. I thought Coach Helton and them did a good job, and boy, it was a heck of a football game.
We'll open up now for questions. For our media, please use the raise hand function, and we'll call on you to ask those questions. Started off with Adam Miller.
Hey, Coach Beck, obviously to reflect on the game, just a little trouble stopping the run. What were some of the things you felt Georgia Southern did really well that kept you guys off balance in that element?
Yeah, they ran split zone more than we probably had prepared for. Some of it was us. Our alignments were too wide. We didn't track our gaps near as well, and provided big runs for them. A 3rd and 18 play or 3rd and 15, whatever it was at the end of the game, was just that. We fit it wrong, both guys in the same gap, and he ended up hitting the gap that nobody was at. So it was a different look. We hadn't seen it, hadn't really practiced it and prepared for it, so we had to adjust to it in the game. And throughout the game, we were okay on it. I wouldn't say we were great. We got the ball down, let me put it that way, but they were still getting some positive yards on it. And on that last one there, we just didn't fit it right. We just didn't play technically, fundamentally sound defensively is what we didn't do. And that led to them staying on the field and us having trouble stopping the run and the pass. But again, credit goes to them. They blocked us and threw it and caught it and ran hard and broke tackles, and they played a good football game.
Jump over to Billy.
Hey, Coach, kind of focusing in on your offense. It looks like, looking down the box score, you had a couple guys with 4 catches, a couple with 3, a couple with 2, a couple with 1 catch. How have you kind of seen that play out where your offense is really trying to involve as many players as possible?
And that's part of what this offense does, right? Is just do your job and the ball will find you, because it's hard to always predict where it's going to go. And there's a lot of run pass options and reads in what we do. And so anybody can touch it. It's the same with the ball carriers. You see it spread out a little bit, and even the quarterback. So, our guys understand that. And, we made some big plays. We just didn't make enough of them. We had opportunities. We had opportunities through the course of the game. We come out and score and go for 2 and miss it. Tad underthrew it, and he was open. Late in the game, Tad had an interception that they turned into a touchdown and a turnover. We had a big play that got us down to the 4, and we didn't score. We had both guards get hurt in consecutive plays, back-to-back plays. Heston went down, then Julius went down. We had 2 substitution guards in for field goal, and they blocked the field goal. It was just things like that kind of reared its ugly head. The penalties, we had 13. We were the least penalized team in the league. And, we hadn't done that. We hadn't beaten ourselves, and we beat ourselves a lot with some of the things that we did in that game.
Go ahead with your follow-up, Billy. Yeah, I was just wondering, kind of building off of that performance, there's always going to be things that you can adjust moving forward. What do you see out of this South Carolina team? Obviously what happened with them this weekend, but how do you feel like your team can kind of match up with them heading into this weekend?
Um, it's early and getting a chance to watch them. They're a very extremely talented team, and again, Coach Beamer's a tremendous football coach, and everything that he does, and the way their team is very talent laden. Again, we have to play our football. We have to play our football on offense. We got to be able to run the football. We got to be able to make the plays on third down when we have to stay on the field offensively, and we can't turn the ball over. We can't turn the ball over. Defensively, we got to stop. It's almost like starting all over. We got to stop the run first. We got to be better in the passing game to not allow the big plays. I think we did a stat. I think we played 70. I want to say 75, 78 plays where the ball was actually snapped. And in those 7 of them were 300 and something yards of the yards that they had on those 7 plays. The rest of the game on the 68 plays, they had something like 290 or 280, whatever it was. So that's a winning football, but you can't give up the other 7 plays. That's all part of it, right? And you can't do that. So we have to be better eye discipline, be able to get off the field on third downs when we have those opportunities to have any chance in this one.
Jump over to Alan.
Coach, I'm sorry, I may have missed it. Actually, I got it. What was the update on Samari?
Yeah, he looks like he'll be out. It's still early. We're waiting some, we did MRIs and x-rays and things of that on Sunday when we came back late, or early Sunday morning when the players come in. So we're still waiting on it, but he just doesn't. I'm guessing, speculating, he doesn't look good.
Okay. And I'm just curious, if you were setting the schedule. I mean, this game, I think South Carolina was probably set before you got here. Is this a game you would have sought with the in-state dynamic? They don't play in baseball. They play Coastal plays Clemson, but South Carolina has avoided playing them. So is this a game that you like, and would you have scheduled this yourself?
That's a hard question. I mean, there's something to be said about playing schools. When I was at Ohio State, we played, Ohio U and some programs like that. There's something to be said for that at times, right? I think this late in the year is hard. Unfortunately, we didn't win last week's game, but had we, we're getting ready. You'd be playing James Madison for the championship and got an SEC team on the road. I don't make the schedule in terms of, these far in advance. We probably got the 2050 schedule already done. Like they're so far in advance made. But for fans and you play them early. Sometimes that happens. You play some of these teams early. That's all part of it. At this time of the year, it's a little bit harder, a little bit more difficult, I should say.
Thank you, Coach Beck. Appreciate your time today.
Appreciate it.
Opening statement, we got off to a start, really a good start. It's about as good as you could want. Defense, we get to stop 3 and out. We score in the first play, so we jump up, 14-0. We get a strip sack, run it back, and then, we have opportunities. We had 3 more opportunities to really, that's your moment to pull away, to really try to extend that lead. And really 4 of the next 9 drives, we just we stopped ourselves. We had good drives, but penalties continued to hold us back. 14-7 at a half, we're right where we want to be. Halftime score doesn't matter. And then we come out and our game plan was established run, and we didn't. We go -1-0. We're back in 3rd and 11, and give South Alabama credit. They played well. They stopped us, and we didn't execute. We put defensively. I thought we played at a high level. At times we really did. As the game went out, when you don't play complimentary football and you leave your defense out there too long, and then in that second half, it was one of those deals where South Alabama was able to have the ball for over 12 minutes in the fourth quarter and really controlled, the ending of the game, and we just missed opportunities by self-inflicting wounds of really penalties and some lack of execution put us in 3rd and longs.
We'll open up now for questions. For our media, please use the raise hand function. We'll call on you to ask those questions. Started off with Adam Miller.
Hey, Coach, you mentioned obviously the really good start, but then the difficulty with the offense with the long markers in the second half. But what were some of the things you felt South Alabama may have done even with those things to make your offense kind of keep them off balance and make it difficult on you guys in those long yard situations?
I mean, when you're in, when you don't have success and you're not efficient on first down, or you get a penalty on first down, it's 1st and 20. And then we got another penalty on a 2nd and 7 that made it 2nd and 17. Well, you immediately, they're in there too high. They're playing their three safety too high, and they're clouding the field and, cover to the boundary. So they've got it covered. You can't force the ball. You've got to chip away. And we were able to chip away. We were able to bring it down to some 3rd and 8s and 3rd and 9s and 3rd and 11s, but we weren't able to execute those 3rd and longs. We didn't have one play, I think 3rd and 3 or under. We had 1 3rd and 4. So the 3rd and longs that we put ourselves in, but give them credit. But the penalties are self-inflicting. Those are the 2 holding calls in the blind side. Those are tough. 10, 10, and 15. And you put yourself behind the sticks against a good defense. And I thought, hey, give them credit. I thought that they really focused on setting the edges, and they focused on penetration, and they focused on really being physical up front, and give them credit, because that's where it is. When we run the football and we get 1 or -1, and we run the football and get 0, or we run the football and get -2, that's them winning the battle up front.
Let's go over to Billy.
Hey, Coach. I still think, Braylon McReynolds has continued to show that, he is quite the stable back, and his physicality, it feels like, just ramps up every week. How important is he going to be, these 2 final tests to close out the season, and you guys are going on the road?
I think he's critical. I mean, he's the same guy every day. He brings tremendous energy. He's tough. He's physical. He sees outside zone well. He sees inside zone well. He runs with power. He's not a big, he runs big. He's 195 pounds. But he brings it. He brings it. And then Zach Palmer has been a great 1-2 punch. But we've got to get him in a rhythm. We got to get him in a rhythm. We never really got in a rhythm. And then when we had really good drives, 8, 10, 11, 14, holding, we were able to, really pull ourselves back, and it's frustrating. It's on me. As a head coach, it's on me. We've got to eliminate penalties. We've got to be better at execution. It's hard to be good in 3rd downs when you're in a 3rd and longs. So that's what we are. That's where we're at, and that's where we go from here. There's a lot of really good. I felt like some of our players, they were some of our best games from a Jaden Hamlin, who 5 tackles, who Jabari Tiller, I think really on his 3rd start, 12 tackles. Jalen Foster. We had a lot of our guys play their best game, and a lot of guys really rise to the occasion. But it takes the team and the unit, and it all has to complement each other, and that's what we've been missing. We've got to be able to smooth that out and play together as a team, period.
Thank you, Coach Vincent. Appreciate your time today.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
Sure. Just great to be back in front of our fans again, like we talked about all week leading up to it. That was almost a month away. So being back here and having a chance to just see them and the support was phenomenal. Obviously a convincing win. Our guys played really, really hard. And I thought it was really complimentary football. There was a lot of good that got done in there, and from a lot of different people, and different guys were called into action. Joby Mallory, went for over 100. I thought, Zoe played his normal game, Wayne his normal game, but 11 different receivers had a chance to touch the ball. It was good to see Matt Sluka get in there and do some work as well. And then, on the D line, couple of guys that stood out to here, and Xavier Holmes were great. But then DJ, I thought, played a good game at nickel corner for us and had an interception in a crucial moment after we had just turned the ball over. And then Elijah Culp has been really, really good in his coverage. And then one guy we don't talk a lot about, our kicker Morgan had a really nice day as well with, the field goals and the extra points all added up, and then was called in to hit some kickoffs and did a good job of that as well. So I thought overall complete game in front of our home crowd, and one that we needed, and we're going to need a whole lot more as we roll forward.
We'll open up now for questions. We'll start it off with David Teal.
Bob, after you were done with your post-game obligations, did you take in Coastal Georgia Southern?
I sure did. Yes, I did. And congrats, obviously, to Georgia Southern on a nice win. And, a lot of people were at my house having a chance to watch that, and it was pretty cool.
What does it mean to the program to qualify for the conference championship game for the first time?
I think it means a lot, especially to be able to do it in year 3, of being at this level means a lot. We were close a year ago, obviously, not enough, but I thought, for this community, for this team, for, the school, for the student body, for everybody that supports it, the alums at such a high level, it's really important that, we're able to produce as well out there on the field. So really for them, it's great. For us, we just got to get back to work. That's all.
You have a vote in the coaches poll. I don't know if you do it or Chris does it or your ops folks do it. How high are the Dukes on that poll, on that ballot this week?
Yeah, I'd like to say I knew, and I probably should. I don't know if that's trouble or not. We do converse a little bit about it. But ultimately, I don't know. I don't want to really talk about it. Is that okay? Is that fair?
Is JMU the highest team from the group of 5 on your ballot?
Yes, it is. How's that?
Okay, that works.
Let's jump over to Adam.
Hey, Coach Chesney, obviously a dominant performance by your defense, especially in this game. This was an App State team that was averaging nearly 300 yards a game through the air, and it just felt like even into the fourth quarter, you guys were playing, the defense was playing with a focus and an aggression as if it was a 3-point game or a tie game. What did you guys have to do as a coach to keep that intensity for your defense that late in the game?
Yeah, not a lot, honestly. They're a group that is extremely motivated. They care about, every rep on that field, and they want to, just do their part. We were at that point on some of our, second, third string guys, and they wanted that moment to, kind of show who they were and put some good things on film. So they were just, and then the sideline of the guys that, the starters from the side, to be able to be out there and just, continue to motivate them and help them, and just like those guys get supported when they're the first team out there, it's very important for that first team to be supporting whoever else is out there. So to me, that's really what it's about, is that they're walking out on the field on a defense that I think has had a really nice year up to this point in time. And, they don't have a chance to do that in crucial moments. And when they do have their chance, they're going to make sure they make the most of it. And that was ultimately probably their motivator.
Let's go back to David.
Is it peculiar at all to be playing a non-conference game in late November?
It is peculiar. It's very peculiar, especially against not even non-conference, against this team from, I don't even know, the Pac-2 or whatever it is at the stage of the game there. But it is, and it's interesting because obviously their head coach came from South Dakota State, and our time at Holy Cross, our season ended, 2 different times out there. And it looks a lot like those teams. They are physical. They are tough. Their defense is everybody tackles and tackles hard. The defensive line just doesn't quit. And then their offense looks a lot like things they were doing before. A lot of shifts, a lot of motions, basing out inside zone, but just this toughness that shows up. Again, they're a team that, has lost a couple 1-score games, but their ability to run the ball in short yardage and their ability to play great defense, is kind of tells you everything you need to know about them. They are tough dudes that play really, really hard. And that's what I think when you look at short yardage offense and overall defense, if you're going to be tough and ranked high in those numbers, you're probably a pretty tough team. And that's what these guys are.
Not a great record, but if you look at the tape from their game in Virginia, you can tell that they can hang with pretty much anyone. Do you show your team that tape?
Yeah, and take the tape from Ole Miss if you want to. right?
Right.
Like that's a 6-point or 7-point loss there. You pull up any tape you want. We don't need to worry about a record when you put on the film and look at these guys. They are men and they play like it.
Thank you, Coach Chesney.
All
Appreciate
right,
your
thank you
time
guys.
today.
Yeah, appreciate it. Go Dukes.
Yeah, first, like to congratulate Marshall on earning the victory. They made the plays in critical situations to win the game. We had opportunities. We did not. So now we're moving our focus onto going on the road to play at Troy.
We'll open up now for questions. For our media, please use the raise hand function and we'll call on you. First questions will come from Brady.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about Tyson McCrary. Obviously played a lot of snaps on Saturday, forced into it because managing injuries or whatever, but he seemed to manage the moment well, especially being a freshman, being a walk-on.
Yeah, he's been getting better every single week. He did have a solid performance. He had one missed tackle that led to a touchdown in the game that kind of extended the lead for Marshall, but very pleased with his progress and where he's the football player that he's turning into. He still has to continue to develop, get more acclimated to the system, and continue to just get better all around. And he has good speed, good tools, and that's someone in the future that's gonna earn his stripes, hopefully the right way.
And he's a guy, I forget which game it was, but I think he had a nice special teams tackle earlier in the season. He's made a couple plays in the moments he's had before. Is that something that you can take to the other guys that it's like, look, this is a guy who did his job, earned more playing time as a result? And
Yeah, we're gonna have guys that fight and execute and do their job at the highest level, and he earned that right to be a gunner on our punt team. And like I said earlier, he has great speed. He loves football. He's a good tackler, and he really pays attention to detail. So his game is only going to continue to get better, and he's going to get a lot more experience moving forward these next 2 weeks.
Let's jump over to Adam.
Hey, Coach, just one question about last week's game. You guys were, you hit the home run on your first possession there with the 92-yard run, and then, obviously Marshall kind of stuck to its plan, but you guys didn't really sort of hit a rhythm offensively until the second half. What were some of the things that, were clamping you guys down that you guys were able to adjust and then eventually take advantage of and tighten the things up in the third quarter?
Yeah, we had opportunities. I thought we had an opportunity to kind of go up 2 scores in the first quarter. We turned the ball over in the red area twice, which eliminated possible points, touchdown or a field goal. So you can't turn the ball over, especially in the red area where you gotta maximize those opportunities. And we had opportunities to run the football and make plays in the running game. And we just didn't make those critical plays in critical moments. And then third down conversions, I thought kind of got us a little off kilter in the game. And we want to stretch maybe 4 straight third downs that we didn't convert. So that allowed Marshall to kind of put some drives together and take the momentum in the first half. But I felt like Reed Chandler punted the ball well. And Braden gave us some momentum going in the half, making that career-long field goal kick of 60 yards.
Let's go back to Brady.
yeah, I guess Monday of game week, so you don't necessarily know yet, but any idea on Cam's potential playing on Saturday?
Yeah, he should be a lot better. He was a game time decision Saturday, and he still was suffering from his injury, but today he was able to at least throw the ball. So um, I'm very optimistic about his return on Saturday. So we'll just wait and see how the week progresses and get the guys ready that are available and healthy.
Thank you, Coach McGee. Appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
Yeah, really excited for our guys to go on the road and beat a really good Southern Miss team, really well coached. Have a ton of respect for those guys, but really excited for our guys, and hopefully this sparks us, to play a really good Monroe team at home, back at home, and trying to go on. Questions.
We'll open up now for questions from our media. For our media, please use the raise hand function and we'll call on you to ask those questions. We'll start it off with Adam Miller.
Hey, Coach Kinne, obviously you guys did a lot of really good things offensively and explosive plays, big plays, but you guys had some defensively too. I felt like, just what were some of the things you felt like the defense was able to really key in on and get you guys off the field and get your offense back out there?
Yeah, I think we were able to get a lead on them, and we were able to get some turnovers. I mean, that's the name of the game, is getting off the field on third down and getting some turnovers. And we did that. The second half, they went down and scored, and they stopped us on offense, and felt like the momentum was turning a little bit, and we were able to get another big stop, and just finally able to play some complementary football and get some turnovers. I mean, everyone knows our offense is really good and super explosive, but we've just been doing it the hard way for a long time, and this is the first week we're able to really get multiple turnovers and multiple stops, and when that happens, it's a recipe for a win.
Let's jump over to Billy.
Hey, Coach. We kind of like you mentioned, we've talked about your offense throughout the year and just kind of the development of Brad and then, the way Lincoln and Greg have both come along. How do you really feel, with these last 2 weeks going into the season? You still got some goals ahead of you that can be accomplished. And you've got, arguably, you could throw Chris Don in that conversation as well. You've got a lot of your offensive weapons really kind of hitting their prime. What do you give that credit to?
Yeah, I mean, I think I think offensively, anytime you have a quarterback like Brad, you got opportunity. And then, Lincoln's such a great leader and such a great player. You got Greg Burrell, you got Jalen Jenkins that's been really good in the return game. We got to get him going a little bit on offense. And then obviously Bo and Chris. And then, I think something that's gets lost in the shuffle a little bit. Blake Smith went out versus Arizona State. We're able to get him back in the mix and able to really be who we want to be offensively. So, I think, getting a little healthy, Chris Don was really banged up at the beginning of the year, missed a couple of games, and then a couple of games he just wasn't 100% playing. So just getting healthy and we're young. I mean, talk about all those guys, besides Lincoln are all coming back next year. So we're young offensively, defensively. I think we played, 15 freshmen, true freshmen, redshirt freshmen versus Southern Miss. I think 8 true freshmen. So, had a bunch of young guys playing and just continuing to get better each and every week. Excited about the future, excited about the offense.
Let's go over to Jacob Rodriguez.
Yeah, Coach, congrats on the win.
Thanks.
Just, super excited as well to see it. Post game, saw a bunch of videos, a bunch of hype around the team. After, it felt like a couple of weeks, it was just been kind of like, in a dark spot for a while.
Yeah.
Just what was it like vibe wise, focus wise for the team leading up to that? And then immediately after?
Yeah, I mean, obviously just a super weird little stretch there. And I think it's not only just losing, it's one thing to, lose by a couple of touchdowns, get blown out or something. We're losing 1 point, overtime, double overtime, going on the road, play JMU, who's really good, just kind of like a weird couple of games there. So I think it's just kind of just the ups and downs. It's just, it's tough, especially on college kids. So, I think just having the opportunity to go on the road and play the team that's probably going to represent the West in the championship and being able to get a win, hopefully that sparked us. And, like you said, I think for us, it was all about, and that's been the message the last couple of weeks, is just playing for these seniors, one more opportunity, one more month with these guys, a couple more practices to try to get to that bowl game and play for those guys and something that, it's one of our goals, like you said, is still on the board. So I think just the excitement and happiness, hopefully can translate to another win on Saturday.
Let's go back over to Billy.
Hey, Coach, and you kind of just hit on this, finishing out the year strong. how important do you think it is, kind of hitting on what Jacob said? You see that, kind of that flush of color coming back, and you get to finish out your last two games at home. Just talk a little bit about, the community around San Marcos and finishing out the year in your home stadium.
Yeah, it's going to be huge, and I know we're playing a really good Monroe team coming to our place. Very similar to us. Their record isn't, who they are. They're a really good team. They've had some injuries. They're tough. They're physical. They can run the ball. They play great defense. So it's going to be a really big challenge. But playing at home and getting the opportunity to play another game with these seniors and kind of the spark that we had last week for Southern Miss. Hopefully that continues to this week of practice, because that's one thing we have done. We've had really good weeks of practices. There hasn't been a day where I thought the guys were down or quit or anything like that. We've continued to battle and so we need another really good week, just hopefully with a little bit more juice now.
Thank you, Coach Kinne. Appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
Yeah, good football game for our team against Coastal Carolina at home. A really important game for us for having postseason aspirations and getting to a bowl game. It was a much needed game. Proud of the playmakers and what they were able to accomplish in that game. O.J. Arnold, Cam Brown, several guys. There were a bunch of heroes in that game that a really good college football game for the fans. Not good for coaches. It gets your blood pressure up, but we were glad to come out with a win. That's 2 in a row for us in the month of November, and still trying to keep it going for us. And now we got ODU coming in. That's another very hot football team that's playing really good ball right now. And so another big game in November. That's what it seems like always in the Sun Belt. So it's an exciting league, a competitive league, and here we go again with ODU. With that, I'll take any questions you got.
We'll open up now for questions. We'll start off with Adam Miller.
Hey, Coach Helton, the question I have, last game felt like a shootout there in the first half and just back and forth. And then, things really started to settle in the second half. But you had O.J. Arnold obviously had probably his best game of his college career and biggest game. Just what were some of the things you felt like he made really good decisions with the ball in his hand?
He's been a special player for us. You're talking about a guy that's contributed all 4 years. And I don't know if I've ever, as a player or a coach, I've been doing it over 35 years. And I've just never seen a guy have that good a game at his position, to be able to have 320 yards running and catching. You run for a touchdown, catch a touchdown, throw for a touchdown, all three. That's the first time in school history for us. I mean, he just had a look in his eye on the night that he wasn't going to be stopped. And, even he was so hot that, even that last drive, I mean, it's 3rd and 12 backed up. And we said, all right, go with the hot hand. And he busts out another 50-yard run to really end the football game. And so there's a reason he's played all 4 years. He's a special player, competitive player, and he carried the entire football team the other night.
Let's go over to Billy.
Yeah, Coach. I'm just, curious, how does that conversation kind of go when you have somebody that really essentially has the hot hand and everything they're doing? How does that go where, is that a JC initiated conversation? Is that, OJ coming up, or is that, everybody kind of coming together and we're like, feed the machine?
Yeah, this game is all about trust, and we have so much trust in OJ and what he does. To be able to have the amount of rushing yards that he has, but then include 53 yards of catching the ball out of the backfield, and then the utmost trust. To make the decision on the double pass, to be able to look like a live runner, and then at the last second on the run, throw a dime to Cam Brown. That's trust, and that's been built over 4 years, and probably in the most critical game of our season, to be able to get one. We needed that game to try to get to postseason. He shined, and that's what playmakers do. That's what great players do, and our trust in him is at a very high level.
Let's go back over to Adam.
Because you obviously turned the page now to an Old Dominion team that just played a really almost flawless game, I guess you could say, against Troy. But then they've been really potent on offense this season, but as you saw, their defense did quite a few things on Saturday as well, or sorry, last week as well. So what are, some of the things that offensively you guys have been clicking? You guys are having no problem scoring points, but a defense that maybe, can suppress that a little bit. What are some of the things you guys are gonna have to do offensively to keep things rolling?
Yeah, but Ricky's got a really good team, and he's doing a really good job with them. Offensively, having Colton and Joseph do what he's doing right now, the second year of this offense is spread, ultra wide splits, attacking every inch of grass. They've really, dialed it in really well. You see the balance that they have, both running the ball and throwing the ball, and then your leading rusher just happens to be the quarterback for 710 yards. And oh yeah, he also could throw it all over the park. There's a reason he's up for the MVP of the league. Probably the most dangerous player that we will face all year within league. Got a lot of respect for him. It's been a matchup that we haven't really matched up well against over the last 2 years, and we got to find a way at home in the month of November, trying to fight for bowl eligibility to be able. I don't know if you can stop them, but you hopefully can slow them down, get some turnovers against them, get some stops, and then yeah, you're going to have to score, and that's a hard thing to do. They're the second best defense in the league. They've given up 6 points in the last 2 games. So what a great challenge. A great challenge. This is what you want in the month of November. 2 teams that are fighting for where they want to be placed as far as bowls and postseason play. We felt that last week against a really good team, and here comes another one.
Let's go back to Billy.
Hey, coach, kind of switching that back to defensively, it really looks like your corners are also playing at an elite level. The back half of that defense is really keeping the ball in front of them and reacting extremely well. How important do you think that's going to be going up against a dynamic quarterback, like you just mentioned?
Yeah, it was such a strange game for us against Coastal, because all of a sudden you got Kyrie, who's an elite runner, and you game plan for that, and he unfortunately he gets injured. Great football player, and then they go to the backup, and he's got a lead arm. He can throw it all over the field. So we had to kind of switch mode and make adjustments and play more coverage, and he did a really nice job of finding his receivers and moving the ball. But I was really proud of our DBs. They made it was time to make the stops, especially on third down, to hold them to 37% on the day and to get off the field, to come up with a critical turnover interception that got us down inside the 5. They did a great job, and they're going to have to do it again. This offense we're getting ready to play, you think they're run oriented, but they throw for as many yards as they run. And so they make you defend every inch of grass. So they're going to have to step up big again this week.
Thank you, Coach Helton. Appreciate your time today.
Appreciate it, Sam. Take care. Hail Southern.
Yeah, so we're in Wednesday this week for us, getting ready to go on the road and take on Arkansas State on Thursday night. So we've I think taken advantage of a long week, been able to get some guys, rested up a little bit, while still getting the work that you got to get done, and trying to put together a plan that you can go out there and go execute. So it's kind of story of the year. We'll be going there a little bit shorthanded, which we've had to do all year. But that's kind of the way we've handled things all year, going out there and played really hard and try to put yourself in position to win in the end. So football team that's found some confidence. They've won 4 out of the last 5 games, playing really well. Gonna have to go out there and go play really well, especially kind of with all the stuff we've got going on. But excited about the challenge, excited about the opportunity, and we're still keeping the dream alive, fighting for bowl eligibility. And, it's something that our kids, they take pride in. The last 7 years in a row, we've been able to play in the postseason, and certainly, want to make it 8.
We'll open up now for questions for Louisiana head coach Michael Desormeaux. For our media, please use the raise hand function and we'll call on you. We'll start it off with Adam Miller.
Yeah, Coach Des, obviously you guys have had this time to prepare, but now as you mentioned, you're preparing and getting things installed now for Arkansas State. It's been a team, as you said, it's been playing some really good ball, and they just they might play from behind or they're playing from ahead. They just don't go away. What kind of things is your defense going to have to do to be prepared for a dynamic quarterback like Jalen Rahne? And then, just certainly if there is a rally, you guys are playing ahead, what you're going to have to do to try to, close it out.
Well, I think the last couple of weeks we've done a really good job getting off to a fast start. We've kind of held on to win in the end. you take the positives, right? The fast start, those things are important to get ahead. And you learn from the things that you've done in the past. You just go close it out. You can't relax, can't take your foot off the gas. And for 2 weeks, we've been able to hang on and win. But you watch Arkansas State, and you said it exactly right. I mean, there's been some games that they've won that, I mean, shoot, I've watched, two of them on TV live, and you're like, okay, well, yeah, this one's over, and it's not. I think the thing their quarterback does, the kid, he's a veteran now. He's a junior, but he's 2.5 year starter now. He's grown tremendously, I think, as a pocket passer. In the 2 minute drills, he's been phenomenal. I mean, just like almost flawless. They got a good plan. They play fast. He knows where his reads are. He goes 1, 2, 3, gets the ball out to the open guy, and he operates really well in the chaos a little bit, right? Like whenever things are flying around, it kind of seems when that kid's at his best. So you certainly don't want him with the ball in his hands, on a 2 minute drive to win the game. So we got to start fast. I think a big thing for us, especially with the DBs that we have out, up front, we got to play really well. Linebackers, D line, we got to play really well, and we got to be able to stop the run with the front seven, so that hopefully we can keep our safeties in our corners, where they can play from depth, and they can keep an eye on some of these guys they got out there. Corey Rucker has been around here forever. The two guys to me that really, like everybody, they got a lot of good players, but this quarterback and Corey are the guys that kind of blow this thing open whenever they go. They're going to take shots to Corey one-on-one, and he wins. And they've got another little slot receiver they get the ball to in his hands, number 16. He can do something with the ball. He's really dynamic. And they're going to try to find those guys. And then, they're going to pipe a run, whenever you're sitting there and you're playing these shots down the field and stuff like that. So we got to be able to do a good job up front, stop the run with the front seven, so we can keep our secondary, our safeties in particular, where they can just react to the run, play the pass first. Easier to say than to do. But yeah, I mean, that's, you look at, I mean, they don't, statistically, it's not the amount of points they score, it's when they score them. And that's what good teams do, is they find ways to win. And Coach Jones, guys won a heck of a lot of football games, and he, gets those guys to believe and play. And good teams find a way to win, find a way to score when they need to.
Let's go over to Billy.
Hey, Coach. You kind of mentioned, the defensive aspects of everything, but I was just curious, from an offensive standpoint, what do you kind of, what was kind of the game plan with lunch and going over, where he's at, and Zylan and Bill, and your receiving room, just kind of what are you kind of looking to see matchup wise where they stack up against Arkansas State?
Well, as the years going on, we've had some guys on offense that have really stepped up. Lunch Winfield, he gets better every week, which is natural as a young quarterback. Every start you get, that's exponentially added to the experience that he's had, and every game you play, every situation that you're in, those are banked reps that pay off, as time goes on. Getting Helton back has been huge. The way he's played for us in clutch situations has been great. Charles Robertson's playing really good at wide receiver. And I think our two running backs have really stepped up. Zylan and Bill have been great. With a banged up O-line, and those guys are fighting their tails off. Bill and Zylan are getting dirty yards. They're running really hard. They're maximizing their opportunities. They're making people miss, and they're doing a really good job of getting extra yards, after contact. So, I think offensively what we got to do is we've got to run the football well. Arkansas State plays a lot of middle field open coverage, too high safety stuff. They've got a really stout D-line. They do a really good job up front. I think that number 94 that they added to their team, I think he's someone that's a really good football player. Makes a lot of plays. He's a little bit of a problem. Their linebackers run sideline to sideline, so we got to be able to run the ball. Easier to say than to do, and then in the throw game, we got to continue to be efficient. Last couple of weeks, we've thrown and caught it really well. Really probably the last 4 weeks, we've thrown and caught it pretty well. We got to continue to do that, keep people on their heels, because I think that's the problem, is we were getting in a world where we're so one-dimensional. Even with good players, eventually it's hard to it's hard to sustain it. Unfortunately, the last 4 weeks we've been able to throw it a whole lot better. So we got to continue to mix it up. The only thing offensively that I was really two things that I was disappointed with last week. The two turnovers. They were good balls, good throws. Those turnovers shouldn't have happened. I mean, and that was critical moments when we needed plays to be made, and we came up short in two instances. And then, we had some drives in the fourth quarter. A couple of them where, I thought we could have sustained a drive there. They knew we were running the ball. They knew we needed to run it. And we didn't. And one of the turnovers was in that fourth quarter, and it shouldn't have been a turnover. I mean, it should have been a catch, and it would have been close to a first down. But even if not, you're punting and flipping the field. So that's the thing that we got to get out of. We haven't been as reckless with the ball. We had a game, Southern Miss. I mean, the turnovers were reckless. I mean, they were poor decisions, poorly, executed. Last week we had a couple turnovers. It's unfortunate, but you got to eliminate them. I mean, it can't happen. So, the reality of it, I think on offense, we've got to play clean football. Sometimes it's not a bad thing when you got to punt, flip the field and let your defense play. But, our playmakers that have stepped up and have played well need to continue to do that. And, last week, Landon Strother stepped up and had some huge third down conversion catches that were big for us in the game. So you got guys that are starting to step up a little bit and kind of starting to settle into these roles. And, that's what you need, right? When you play in big games like this, that mean a lot for the rest of the season. You need guys to step up and make plays when it's critical situations. And, fortunately, the last few weeks we've been able to do that.
Thank you, Coach Des. Appreciate your time today.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, hard to believe we're already at week 11 again. Week by week it goes. Certainly not the result we want for or what we had worked for with a longer week, and the preparation was better than what we put on display. I think it's a tip of the hat to Ricky Rahne and his staff. I thought they did a great job schematically against us. Their players played better than us. Their coaches coached better than us, and we got ourselves handed a very bad loss last Thursday night, one that certainly is not acceptable to our program or to me. I'm responsible for all of it, my job to get it fixed, and we're on our way to doing that. But again, I think a testament to Ricky and his staff and players for their execution and preparation that got us. I thought it was a great night for football up there. Thought ODU did a really nice job with our game day atmosphere. It was a good night for the Sun Belt, and we did not answer the challenge. So got to get it done and get it fixed, and it starts with me. So I'll take questions. Thank you, guys.
We'll open it up now for questions. We'll start off with Craig Stevenson.
Hey, Coach. The last two games offensively has not been what you guys had done before that. What are you not doing well? What do you got to do better?
Well, it's, as I'd said before at Ark State, we've got exposed a little bit with the young players we're playing at tackle. And through a period of time there, we did a really good job of putting our guys in great position to do what they do best, but also maybe hide some of our deficiencies. And we had done that really well in Ark State and ODU. We have not hit them well, and they've exposed us. We're not protecting very well at all. We're not able to run the football with any efficiencies at all because of our inability to sustain blocks and those things. We got to plan better. But those two things are the biggest areas. You can't have 18 sacks in 2 games and go backwards. Everybody worries about the yards and all those things. There's no yards going forward because there's so many tackles for loss and sack yardage that are removing any productions. We're going backwards too much. Pretty simple to see. The plans have got to improve. We've got to do better with how we're planning for our players and then get some confidence back so we can get back to being efficient like we had been through the middle of our Sun Belt games that had given us a great chance and not turning the ball over and playing complementary football that allowed us to win 5 straight games. So that's what I see big picture.
And Goose got to play the first time in a while. What'd you see from him? Obviously, he didn't protect him very well, but beyond that, what'd you see?
Yeah, he looked like his first came back and being off for 7 weeks. I think he would tell you he didn't like the way he played. We didn't play great. I don't know how much we helped him, to be honest with you. Yeah, I mean, it was a really rough night for him to be able to set his back foot to our conversations when he was able to. He just wasn't as sharp as he normally had been, and some of that, again, no excuse to his, is just the fact that he hadn't played in a while. I think we'll see a step up out of him this week, and it was great to get him back out there. It was unfortunate we weren't able to share those reps more with Tucker getting hit the wrong way and still battling some things with him. So we had to play him more than we thought after Tuck went down a little bit and couldn't go back out there. So much to fix, but it was just kind of a lukewarm day for us in general, and certainly for him on his way back. We'll take a big step this week, I hope. Thank you.
Let's go over to Adam Miller.
Hey, Coach, Georgia State coming in now this week. What are you guys gonna have to do to really turn things around and get ready for them? We're a team with some explosive pieces that can open up a game really quickly.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like every game you watch, there's explosive plays in the pass game and what they do on offense. They had over 400 yards last week. They can beat you in many different ways, and they've got a wonderful player at wideout that's one of the best in the league. So we have plenty to be concerned with on that side of the ball. We have our own concerns on offense as to how we're going to find some efficiencies and play improved. You don't pay attention to records in this league. We were in a similar position last year and found ways to play well at the end of the year. They're doing the same. They haven't lost anything. Coach McGee's got them playing extremely hard. It shows up on tape. This is not a team that's cashed it in at all. They're playing the game the right way. If we don't match that or exceed that, we'll have ourselves in a position where we won't play winning football as well. So they have our utmost respect, and to be quite frank, we haven't played well enough the last 2 weeks to take anything for granted at this point.
Coach Parker, looking again ahead to Georgia State, seems like they've found something in Jordan Simmons the last 2, 3, 4 weeks to allow them to play a little more complementary football. What do you guys need to do defensively to try to maybe get them back to being a little more one-dimensional?
Yeah, I think for us, it's we have to again look at who we are and find a way to make sure that we are creating negative plays and havoc plays on defense to not let that be comfortable so we can take something away. Sometimes easier said than done, Sam, but I think for us, that's it. We've got to create negative plays and put it in a position where we can play the odds better on long yardage plays, whether it be on second, third down. So again, as simple as that sounds, that's going to be the key piece, but it's going to be very difficult to do.
Thank you, Coach Parker. Appreciate your time today.
Yep. Thank you all.
Yeah, it was a great weekend for the Herd. We had another Remember 75 game, had to go on the road. But, anytime you go on the road, especially that weekend, and get a victory, it's big for our program. I give a lot of credit to Georgia State. They have a lot of fight left in them. They have, again, I said it all week long leading up to the game, their wide receiver is as good as anybody there is in our league, and I think anywhere in the country. He's an outstanding player. But again, big win for us on the road. Getting ready again for a rivalry game on the road had a great practice last night, spirited practice. Guys are ready to go, and for the most part, we're staying healthy.
We'll open up now for questions. For our media, please use the raise hand function. We'll call on you to ask those questions. Started off with Adam Miller.
Coach Gibson, obviously you have a lot of history playing or coaching at West Virginia, Glenville State, other areas of West Virginia, but this was your first time as a head coach getting to experience, that anniversary. And was there anything different about it to you being in the role that you're in now versus other times that you may have, heard about it or attended or seen things about that tradition?
Yeah, it was, I really didn't know what the ceremony was going to be like on Friday. So we always do it on the day of. So the ceremony obviously was on Friday before we left. So we took our whole team to the fountain ceremony, and it was a great experience for not only myself, for our team. How much this community and university and is behind it, and it was special. It was emotional. It was different. So starting with that was different than what I thought, because I'd only been a part of the spring ceremony. It's more of the celebration when we turn the fountain on. And then being able to do this for 2 weeks, because we had our game against JMU the week before at home, and then we go on the road. So really, it was a 2 week long process for us. And again, it's an emotional time around here. And we had some former players come back, talk to our guys. We had some people that lost parents in the plane crash, talk to our team. So there was just a lot, and our kids embraced it and got through it. And we've played hard the last couple of weeks, not only because we needed to, but for the 75 as well. So it's a special time around here. And again, when you come to Marshall, that's part of your culture, and we have to live up to it, and we have to do things the right way.
Hey, Coach, and then my follow-up is just sort of about this week's matchup. You and Coach Loggains, first-year coaches, kind of a regional rivalry game, certainly a conference rivalry game. But your first years in your programs, how much do you guys, or maybe even just you in your role, with this matchup, just the way that you've seen your first year and the way you've seen his first year, and obviously you guys have been assistants in a different region, you at NC State, him in the South Carolina area, what just the relationship you guys have and what it's going to be like playing against him.
Yeah, I got to spend time with him at the Sunbelt meetings in the spring. We really haven't talked, obviously, during the season. Everybody's busy, so I look forward to catching up, on Saturday pregame. But I'm sure, we're very similar. I mean, we've won some big games, obviously lost some tight games, and it's the roller coaster ride in the first year. Everything, again, is a first, that you're doing. So, there's a lot of it, a lot that goes into it. And again, he's seasoned. He's been around. He's been in the NFL. He's been in some great college programs. He's a great football coach. And you can see, I mean, obviously they're dealing with some injuries and different things like that. So it's, I'm sure we'll talk about it pregame and get all our frustrations out together there at midfield. So, kind of, a little session there before.
Let's go over to Billy.
Hey, Coach. Speaking of, offensively going into this weekend, I mean, heck of a performance from Carlos. Just talk a little bit about his development and, how he continues to, 400 all-purpose yards just doesn't happen on accident. What have you seen from his growth, and how have you really seen him kind of step up as a leader?
Yeah, it was a big game for Carlos going back to where he's from. I had a lot of family there. And for him to go out and perform, take care of the football, we asked a lot of him. He threw it for over 300, rushed for about 100. So, he had 418 total yards for the game. Took care of the ball, played really well. And, he just, every week, I think he just keeps getting better and better and better. You take the Coastal game out, with the takeaways and the turnovers we had there in the third quarter. And he's done everything that he needs to do for us to be winning football games. And, his leadership is just, keeps getting better and better every week. He's a guy that we're leaning on as a staff. I know the players are leaning on him as well. I couldn't ask any more for what he's been given to this program. And, he's had a heck of a turnaround, and he's playing really good football right now. So proud of him for that.
Thank you, Coach Gibson. Appreciate your time today.
Yep. Thank you.
Yes, well, good to see everyone. Obviously looking forward to the great challenge Thursday night. Great opportunity to play on national television. And, I thought the 10-day mini bye week really served many purposes for us, but I think the biggest thing is getting healthy. We had 4 very high contested physical football games. So to be able to heal up a little bit, rest up a little bit, not just the physical fatigue, but I think the mental fatigue as well. And looking forward to a great challenge. Obviously, team that has a lot of momentum. Louisiana is really well coached, very, very physical. The quarterback is playing at a really, really high level. Really good running backs, imposing offensive line, and defensively, same thing. have a lot of respect for their program and what they've been able to do and their style of playing with which the manner they go about the way they play. So it's going to be a great challenge for us. And just like any week, it all starts with our continuation of preparation.
We'll open up now for questions. We'll start off with Charles.
Coach, what's going on, man?
Hey, Charles.
It's senior day on Thursday as well. Just talk about what the senior class means to this program.
Well, I think, when you look at the age of college football that we're in right now, I told some people the sad thing with where we're going is in a few more years, there'll be players that really don't have an alma mater. And you look at the way we grew up, we're very proud of our alma maters. We're very proud of who we are and what we represent, and that sticks with you for a lifetime. And I think the days of having a true alma mater are probably coming and going. But to have some individuals that have really grown up in our football program, to be able to watch them mature over a course of time, obviously, Corey Rucker's a big part of that. We're being here, leaving, and then coming back and everything that he's meant to our football program, but not just our football program, but our community. You talk about an individual who extends himself in our community. It's Corey Rucker and a lot of individuals as well that'll be going through. And, we still have a great challenge ahead. You can't be emotional about it. We have one more game and hoping to get another one, and that's what we're working for. So you have to keep everything in perspective. But, it's always a great opportunity to honor all these players. It's 22 of them that have given, some that have joined our program early, been in our program 1 year or 2 years. But, we always talk about a lot of these players pick our program because of our culture. But once they get here, how have they enhanced our culture? And there's a lot that goes into that. And a lot of these individuals have really helped enhance our culture and build a program that we're very proud of.
Let's jump over to Billy.
Yeah, Coach. Looking at your season, you get to go back at home. This week against Louisiana. They've really kind of made a concerted effort to really kind of spread things out offensively, where they want to push the run, but they can also establish that deep ball. So what do you see from them that matches up with your defense as far as this weekend's matchup?
Well, you're exactly right. When football is a game of matchups and, they challenge you to match up with them. And I think it all starts with the different personnel groupings. I think it starts with the formation adjustments and variables. And then when you throw in a quarterback that can run the football, manage a game, and you really see his throwing has really, really elevated every game that he's played. Very, very talented receivers. And again, they're a good football team and they're a talented football team. And I think the other thing is they have belief. And you look at some of the games that they've won and come from behind fashion. You don't do that if you don't have competitive character and you don't have belief, kind of the same regards to our football team. So, they possess so many matchup challenges. I think they do a really good job schematically. They run outside zone exceptionally well. They're going to divide the defense. And if you're not gap sound, you're going to hit the upcut and it's going to be an explosive run. So I think what they do is they force you to play discipline with your eyes and your keys, but also force you to communicate on every snap.
Coach Jones, two teams that have a winning tradition in the Sun Belt, two of the three winningest programs in the conference. Now, both of y'all are playing to get towards bowl eligible. Obviously, you guys have the opportunity to clinch that this weekend. What would it mean for your program to clinch a third straight bowl opportunity as a team and maybe potentially do that here on national television on Thursday?
Well, Sam, I think if you really look at the group of six, you look at the dynamics of college football, we can never forget or lose sight of the pageantry of the bowl season and what it means to programs at all levels of football and to be able to go to a bowl game. Obviously, it's great for your football team. It's great for your seniors. it's great for your fan base. But what it also brings about is a level of consistency with continuity and success. And obviously, you look at Louisiana, I think this would be their 8th straight bowl game. For us, it would be our 3rd consecutive bowl game. So there's a lot that goes into it with that continued success. And you can never take going to a bowl game for granted. And we saw firsthand what not only going to a bowl game last year, but winning a bowl game, what it does for the momentum of your community, your campus community, your football program, everyone associated with that. So you're talking to a person who the bowl system is anything and everything in college football, and we can never lose sight of how important it is on many fronts.
Thank you, Coach Jones. Appreciate your time today.
You guys have a great rest of your week.
Yeah. Thursday was a great day for Old Dominion, being able to be on Sports Center and showcase our campus that way. And earlier in the day was great. And then to go out and play a complete football game the way that we did on national television was a great deal. So excited about that, but that's been over now for a few days now. So we're on to the next one and playing a Georgia Southern team that's playing tremendous right now. And we know it's going to be a major challenge, especially going down there. So questions?
We'll open up now for questions. For our media, please use the raise hand function. We'll call on you to ask those questions. We'll start it off with Adam.
Coach Rahne alluded to, your performance last week, and especially defensively is kind of what I'm curious about is, you guys were able to put on that performance, and now you're going to play a Georgia Southern team that has really had not much difficulty scoring points this year. So what are some of the areas that you think are going to be critical to your defense, keeping that offense not only off balance, but ultimately off the scoreboard as much as possible?
Well, we're going to have to continue to play violent and continue to try to dominate the line of scrimmage. That offense, like most offenses in the country, works best when they can run the football like they were able to do last week. So that's going to be number one. And then, I think the other thing is we got to have great eye control. They're a balanced offense, and they're able to, have a bunch of stuff off their runs. They're able to have things off their screens. They're able to have, double moves off a bunch of their routes. So we got to have great eye control and be able to be confident in our decisions and what we're seeing.
Go over to Billy.
Hey, Coach, just kind of building off of that, the physicality at the line of scrimmage. Obviously, you guys had a fantastic job, setting the point and establishing, your gaps and offensively able to run the ball as much as you did. Do you think there's a correlation between that physicality on the offensive and the defensive line, in the trenches, or is that just, your team playing great football at the right time?
I've said from the beginning that I thought our overall personality of our team was dictated by our offensive defensive line. And, we've been a pretty violent and physical team all year. If you go back and you just look at the totality of our season. So, I think that's what we got to continue to do. We're blessed with an opportunity to play, a game this week and go on the road in an awesome environment against Georgia Southern. And I know that they're going to come in and ready to play. And so our guys are, the one thing is they love to play the game of football, and I know they're ready to go.
Go ahead with your follow-up, Billy.
Yeah, and then specifically just wanted to kind of hit on that running back room, and then, you could throw Colton in there as well. But what a performance by Devin. How have you kind of seen that room grow, and I guess, what has Colton's contributions been inside that running back room?
Well, obviously, Colton's ability to run the football and also push the ball down the field has opened some stuff up for our running backs. And, he's it's no secret. He's making a bunch of decisions in our offense, and he's tending to make the right ones, and our running backs are taking advantage. I think it speaks to another thing I've talked about a bunch is depth. We've had, a bunch of different leading receivers. We've had a bunch of different leading rushers, and I think that's something that you're going to need in order to succeed in this league. This league is you're playing a great team every single week, and you're playing a team that's going to be a challenge every single week. So you better, if you think you're just going to be able to rely on one or two guys, that's not going to work. You're going to have to have a whole crew, and
luckily we've been able to do that at running back.
Coach Rahne, you alluded to it a couple of times, but one of the unique things about the Sun Belt is obviously the regional rivalries and the tough places you have to go play, and certainly Georgia Southern has that in their home stadium as well. How do you guys prepare for that? And obviously you've played in tough environments already this year, but how do you kind of prepare for that as you go into those?
Yeah, I mean, we'll use the sound and stuff during practice and those sort of things, and our guys are, ready for that, and very bluntly, we embrace it. I mean, it's what makes college football great. I mean, no, when people turn on the college football video game, they want that stadium pulse to be part of it. No one wants to, play in a neutral site or whatever. You want to play in that. You want to feel the excitement and pageantry, and that's what college football is all about. And that's what makes this game great. And so, we're excited about that and embrace that. We also have a lot of guys from down there. And so, it's going to be awesome for their families to be able to travel and meet us there and have some support in enemy territory there.
And then Coach Rahne with the win this week, clinching the winning season, the first since 2016, I believe, for ODU. What did that mean for you? Did you guys talk about that at all in the locker room? And obviously more goals ahead, but maybe something checked off the list there.
No, I mean, the only time I ever talked about it is when I deal with the good people of the media. We haven't discussed it once. It's not something that we even talk about. We talk about going 1-0. We talk about another opportunity to play this great game and to feel the joy of winning. I mean, that's the reality of it is, our guys weren't excited in the locker room because they won a seventh game. They were excited because they won that game. And I think that's, really the key. And that's something I think sometimes people miss.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time today.
All right. Thank you.
Obviously not a good enough performance this week to beat a really good team. Hats off to Coach Kinne and his staff. Did a phenomenal job. Got to get ready to go against a really good South Alabama team down there. Obviously, a regional closeness. Coached really well. Coach Applewhite does a really good job. So got to get ready to go. Got to perform better in order to have a chance to be successful on Saturday.
We'll open it up now for questions. We'll start it off with Justin.
Hey, Coach, thanks again for the time today. We talked Saturday about, Braylon. I think you said about 75, 80%. I don't want to put an exact label on that. I know you're just talking about comparing him to Liddy. I'm just curious, what is your process this week in terms of evaluating him throughout the week to see if he can go on Saturday?
Well, he's got to go through practice. Typically we have a Wednesday cutoff, around here. I don't think if a guy can't practice on Wednesday fully, it's very difficult to go play in the game. And there's obviously modifications that go into that. We haven't had a chance to practice. Sunday's our off day, kind of rehab. So today will be the first opportunity for him to get out and move around. And hopefully the doctors and trainers feel that he's able to, one, protect himself, and not put himself in harm, not being able to be mobile or whatever it may be. And then two, hopefully he's able to get a full week of scout prep, seeing the looks, going through the reads, going through all the things that he needs to do in order to play well Saturday.
Let's go over to Heath.
Hey, Coach. Last time you lost Louisiana Tech was for Saturday. You guys got off 5 in a row. What are some things that you're wanting to see from the team this week of practice that you saw after that Louisiana Tech loss?
Well, our process is kind of driven in our guys. We're really good at responding. We're really good at handling adversity. And I think that's a key to life, not just football, right? How do you handle adversity? How do you respond? We're really good at that. What my challenge to the guys this week is we got to be a little bit more proactively urgent. Let's not fail the tests and then have to get an A on the next test to pass the class. Let's do the things with urgency throughout the week, throughout the game to kind of eliminate the adversity that, kind of sometimes is self-created. I think it's awesome to be able to respond. I think that's one of the, things that we've been able to do, whether that is from a game or from a week or from a practice or whatever it is. You got to keep that. But with the limited opportunities we have, we got to get a little bit more proactively urgent. Let's prepare to go have a great Monday practice. Let's not wait till we look at the film and say, hey, we could have been better Monday. Let's have a great Tuesday. And I think that's a little bit of what you fall into when you're kind of on a winning streak. You're kind of just getting ready for next, getting ready for next. And you don't take time to say, okay, what can I do proactively to be a little bit more urgent about what's coming up next, whether that's a class, whether that's a meeting, whether that's a practice, whatever that may be.
Let's go over to Hunter.
Coach, I know you've spoken as well on Saturday about the sense of urgency. Based on South Alabama's record against Southern Miss, which is not too favorable for the Golden Eagles, is that a sense of motivation?
I think it is for you guys who write stories and do a great job of that. For us, the motivation should be we have 2 opportunities left to play this season. For us, the motivation should be we didn't perform well Saturday, and we know we're better than what we showed. For us, the motivation should be this is another opportunity to go play the game we love. We don't know if we'll even get the other opportunity. Guys have gone through the season, and you get injuries, you get whatever may happen. So for us, to me, the motivation in-house is this is another opportunity. And the one beautiful thing about college football, you don't get a lot of them. You work the entire year for 12, 13, 14, whatever it is, opportunities. You can't waste any. And then when you do, you should have a sense of urgency to really make sure you're able to take advantage of the next one.
Justin, go ahead with your follow-up there.
Just wanted to go back to the injury point. I know Morris didn't play on Saturday, and Aloili Maui left the game on crutches. Do you have an update on those 2 guys?
Yeah, well, obviously both of them, are moving around. They were, in treatment yesterday. I'll know today when we get on the field. It's hard to kind of say, is the guy going to play? And we haven't really done anything physically. They are both better than they were Saturday. Does that mean they'll be ready to go this Saturday? I don't know. I'll know a lot more. Are you coming to Tuesday's press conference? Are you coming tomorrow?
I'm off Tuesday, so Scott will be there.
Damn. Sorry. Well, guess you're gonna have to wait till Saturday.
Sounds good. Thanks, Coach.
Heath, did you have a follow-up there?
Yeah, Coach. Talk a little bit about what South Alabama does offensively and defensively that might give you guys some problems going into Saturday.
Yeah, obviously Coach Applewhite, and I work together at the University of Alabama, so he's a phenomenal offensive mind. I think they do a really good job exchanging personnels from 11 to 12, which seems like a very subtle change, but it drastically affects your fits. It drastically affects who's now responsible for tackling more. As you go back and forth, you got to be able to kind of match that personnel with your schemes. So that's going to be a challenge. Each week's a little bit different. The last couple of weeks we've been playing teams that have been predominantly 11 personnel. Texas State ran some 12 as well, but that's not true who they are. We'd have to go back to kind of ULM, ULL, where that was kind of their core. South Al kind of gives you a mix of both. They also do a really good job of protecting their deficiencies. I think their quarterback is playing really efficient right now. And then defensively, Coach Will Wyndham, we've known him for a while. We worked together at Penn State. He does a really good job of mixing front and coverage, right? You're blocking even front, you're blocking odd front. They play a little mint. Coverage-wise, they give you a couple different pictures that look similar. Obviously, every week they're going to be able to look at something on film that we haven't done well on either side of the ball and be able to kind of add or use something in their system that maybe hasn't shown up a lot. So I think it's going to be a challenge. I think it's a challenge just because it's a different, type of, scheme and game plan, the way to attack you. So we got to do a really good job this week. That's, one of the big pieces to, you asked about Braylon practicing. Can he go out there and throw the ball around? Yeah, but has he seen the different looks? Has he seen when the safety's moving from right to left? Has he seen the front adjustments that may come? Those are the things that you kind of when you say can he practice or can a player practice, those are the things you want to make sure they're able to see throughout the week before Saturday.
Thank you, Coach Huff. Appreciate your time today.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, very pleased with the way our team played last Saturday. It was great to be able to get a win on the road, playing a very quality opponent in Southern Miss this weekend at home. Need to get prepared for a really good football team.
We'll open up now for questions. For our media, please use the raise hand function and we'll call on you to ask those questions. We'll start it off with Justin.
Hey, Coach, thanks for the time. I work in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. I cover Southern Miss. I just wanted to get your perspective on really your thoughts on Southern Miss and how they stand out to you as a team.
It's a really good team. Coach well, play hard, play with the right intangibles, talented too. But they played the game the right way, offensively and defensively. You see it on special teams as well, and that usually speaks to your team more than offense and defense. Just how they play on special teams, the effort, physicality, and then they're talented as well on top of it. But a really good football team.
Let's go over to Heath.
Yeah, Coach Applewhite, Heath in Big Old Nation. Just wanted to ask you, how hard is it to go into a game? What Southern Miss situation is with the quarterbacks. How hard is it going in the game, having to prepare for two, not knowing if the starter is going to play, if the backup's going to play? What type of problems does that cause for you in planning?
Just uncertainty, but I know Braylon is a competitor. I mean, he's going to play if he can. So you got to prepare for the starter and then adjust from there and have a plan for both. You've seen enough of both to where you should have an idea of what one can do and what one, his limitations may be. But I would imagine if Braylon can play, he's going to play.
Let's go over to Adam.
Coach Applewhite, as part of last week's game against ULM, I thought the secondary played really well in coverage. You guys were able to break up some passes. I think they completed 10 of their 19, and I think you defended 4 or 5 of them. Now you're going to run into a quarterback, whichever quarterback it is, but an offense that likes to throw the ball around. How important is that going to be for your secondary to be ready for that? Will it be a challenge or, an advantage for you guys to be able to defend the pass?
It's a different style of attack. It's a different passing concepts, the tempo. It's a different animal. It's different players, different familiarity with it, totally different. And, last week was great. I'm not trying to sound too coachy, but last week was great. That was awesome. That was last week. This is a different football team, different players, different concept, different tempo, which is going to be run. Preparation's got to be completely different. And this is gonna be a great challenge for our guys in the secondary. I mean, this is an absolute, not that last week wasn't a challenge, but this is a great challenge. These are guys who are clipping off yards at a great rate. So we've got to be in position. We've got to leverage things the right way. We've got to stay on top of routes. We've got to be able to identify our matchups and get aligned.
Let's go back over to Heath.
Yeah, Coach, I'm sure you saw the film with Texas State and Southern Miss. Is there anything you saw Texas State doing offensively that you looked at and said, we can copy that, or maybe there are some things they do that like what you do to attack that defense that they put up a lot of yards?
Yes, sir. There's always going to be some things you see from previous games that lend to something you may want to do or fit something that you do offensively. But you see that in other games. You go back early in the year and watch things that may have shown up, against Louisiana Tech, that when people tried them 2-3 games later, they're corrected. People aren't hitting those plays anymore, and that's a sign of a good team in terms of what are our issues. Let's go address them. It may not even be a play this team we're getting ready to run. We're getting ready to play runs, but 3 weeks down the line, somebody is going to run this play, and we need to correct this. This is showing up in our defense, and you see things getting corrected, even though they're not challenged on it that week. 2 or 3 weeks down the line, they get challenged on it again, and they have a guy in position. So yeah, you can try to steal some things from game plans, but I've seen people try to do that, and they've done a good job of defending it.
Let's go over to Billy.
Hey, Coach. We've talked about it a lot, and really the development of not only Kentrell but Kinne and Bishop kind of using his legs more. How important do you think it was this last week? But how important is it going to be for them all to have good options on the ground and the efficiency that they can run at?
Yeah, I think you talk about how to win a game against Southern Miss and a team that's explosive on offense and can go fast and score a lot of points quickly. You have to be able to possess the football some. We're not going to go in there and snap the ball with 3 seconds on the play clock and, try to shorten the game to an hour and a half. But we need to have that in our minds. If there's times where we need to change the tempo to move the ball offensively to get first downs, score, those type of things, we need to do that. But we need to be cognizant of that from a ball carrying standpoint, whether we're running our quarterback run game with our tailbacks. We need to be effective to be able to have some time of possession and rest our defense in a game like this. Absolutely.
Thank you, Coach Applewhite. Appreciate your time today.
Thank y'all. You have a good week.